So, Kawasaki just announced their new contender in the middleweight retro genre, the much heralded and eagerly anticipated Kawasaki Z650Rs. As a Z900RS owner, I'll ask if Kawasaki's Z650RS lives up to the expectations of a modern retro sport market already wowed by its bigger brother, but more importantly, filled with other contenders like Yamaha's XSR700 with its amazing CP2 engine, Triumph's triple Trident 660, the unique Husqvarna 701 Vitpilen, and of course, Royal Enfield's incredibly successful Interceptor 650. That's a classy bunch, and the bar is high. Well, let's get into the details to find out as I give you 3 things I like about Kawasaki's new Z650RS and 3 things I don't. While the Z650RS is heavily based on the Z650, its aesthetics are inspired by the Z650B1 and the KZ650s of the late 1970s and early 80s. In essence, the Z650 and the Z650RS are the same bike, but with cosmetic changes. But for those of us who like choice and are not fans of the recent trend towards transformer bodies with Marvel comic-inspired front ends, then this is a sight for sore eyes in the middleweight motorcycle market. Kawasaki have redressed the Z650RS by adding the classic twin bezel clocks with LCD display between them, artillery shell twin meter housings as on the Z900RS, a circular LED headlight, non-pedaled front twin discs, a redesigned lower rear subframe with a classic 70s Kawasaki-inspired ducktail cowl, complete with that single round taillight, and of course that curvaceous metal Z650B1-inspired 12-litre or 3.2-gallon tank, complete with new injector covers and gold spoke-like mag wheels. It looks gorgeous. The engine is the tried and true twin-cylinder unit that has been around for years in such bikes as the Versys 650 and the Z650, making 68 horsepower at about 8,000 RPM and 67 pounds-foot of torque at 6,700 RPM. It's mated to a well-proven smooth 6-speed box. The bike sits on right-side round 41mm non-adjustable front forks with a horizontal backlink shock with preload adjustment only. The brakes are 300mm semi-floating twin discs and dual piston calipers at the front and a single 220mm disc and a single pot caliper at the rear, so the brakes sound adequate. Rather like the 70s and 80s bikes it is inspired by, it has no rider modes or traction control, but it does come with an assist slipper clutch and ABS. The Z650RS comes in 3 colours, a traditional Z650B1 candy emerald green, metallic moondust grey and ebony with nice rim paint and styled rather like a Ducati Scrambler, and the less blingy metallic spark black option, which dispenses with the gold rims and rim paint. Prices haven't yet been announced. The first thing I like about the bike is its classic looks compared with the stock Z650. Of course, that's not a surprise as I already own a Z900RS, and to a degree, the 650 shares some of the same classic attributes and looks as its bigger brother. The second thing that jumps out at me is that Kawasaki has mated it to a reliable and proven engine. While it's not a particularly exciting engine, it's going to allow riders the gratifying satisfaction of winding it up and using it close to its full potential without attaining ridiculous speeds and upsetting the old bill. For round town and country lanes, this will be a rewarding engine. The price point of the already proven pre-tooled and readily available twin will enable Kawasaki to sell the bike in larger numbers and at lower prices than if they had redeveloped another purpose-built engine for this bike. The third thing I like about the bike is that I think this bike is going to be better than the sum of its parts. Looking at the specs individually, the Z650RS is nothing to write home about, but combined with the looks, the likely price point and the all-round rideability this bike offers, I think it'll be competitive and a blast to ride. Weighing the same as the XSR700 and being almost as powerful, it should compete well. From a price perspective, it should not command the same premium of 30% over the standard bike that the Z900RS does. The Z650RS is much more closely related to the base Z650 than the Z900RS is to the standard Z900, so likely it will be more reasonably priced. In Canada, the Z650 starts at 8,500 Canadian, which means we can expect to pay a small premium for the RS version, hopefully putting it around the XSR700 price of around 9,700 Canadian. But there are some features of the Z650RS that leave me a little underwhelmed given the strong competition from other motorcycle manufacturers in this mid-size retro motorcycle segment. Paradoxically, the first thing I don't like about what Kawasaki have done is what they haven't done. Part of me would have liked to have seen Kawasaki offer something more inspiring and rousing in the engine department. As previously mentioned, I understand why they went with the twin-cylinder unit found in the Z650 and Versys. But in comparison to Yamaha's impressive 270-degree cranked CP2 engine in the XSR700, or Triumph's triple-cylinder Trident, or the big single in the Vitpilen 701, it's a bland decision. Moreover, sticking a twin in the Z650RS is not in keeping with the bike's Z650B1 KZ650 heritage. It would be like Triumph sticking a triple in a T120. Perhaps remapping and lowering the compression on their well-proven and accessible ZX6 four-cylinder unit from a few years ago would have been more inspiring and would likely appeal to more than just the younger rider. Then this bike would be truly more authentic and offer something different, which could give it greater presence and authenticity in this already hotly contested segment. The second thing I don't like about the bike is the whole exhaust system. The sharply dog-legged headers and the squat exhaust can are a lazy legacy of the edgy Z650. This is a big miss for me and smacks of good enough rather than going the extra mile. The headers and exhaust do not complement the flowing design of the RS, and I find them distracting and incongruous to a degree that I would change them if I bought the bike to something more authentic and harmonious with the fluid RS ethos. Finally, my third dislike is the bike's very budget suspension. The Z650's downswept and angular legacy rear swing arm just looks wrong on the RS. But my real beef is the budget front forks with no adjustment and the compression adjustable only rear shock. If a rider is to pay over the odds for the Z650RS as compared to the Z650, then a few incentives should be thrown in, including the ability to make some rudimentary adjustments to the suspension. Together, with right-angled valve caps and a more authentic-looking rear swing arm, Kawasaki could have shown customers they care a little bit. Yes, this will most likely increase the price slightly, but I do think this would help set the bike apart from the XSR700 and the Trident in particular. On launching their latest middleweight, it's clear Kawasaki have decided to go in a different direction with the Z650RS as compared to the Z900RS. The Z900RS is a larger departure from the base Z900 than the Z650RS is from the Z650. Kawasaki worked hard to hide the Z900 heritage in the RS, styling it by giving it faux engine fins, 4 beautiful downswept headers and a lovely upswept silencer with a changed engine note. The performance of the engine was remapped to promote mid-range torque with upgrades to the suspension and the brakes. But unlike the Z900RS, the Z650RS shares more in common with its donor Z650. With the same styled engine in looks and performance, they share the same headers, exhaust, suspension and swing arm. This is an attractive bike, and Kawasaki are no doubt hoping the looks are what make it stand out from the other bikes in this segment, while keeping many more legacy parts on the bike from the Z650 will keep the price down. From the cringe-worthy launch video to the slightly disappointing specs, this bike is aimed squarely at younger, less experienced riders with less interest in authenticity and more interest in fun, and there is nothing wrong with that. I think this bike will be a winner. Let me know what you think. Have I been too critical of the Z650RS, or has Kawasaki got this bike right? Would you buy this bike instead of a Trident, an XSR700, a Vitpilen 701 or an Inter 650? Let me know in the comments below what you think. Once again, thanks for watching everyone. If this is the first time you've watched, please consider subscribing. I do motorcycle reviews, motorcycle related product reviews, off-road and on-road vlogs as well as tours. Even though I'm not the most diligent poster, don't forget to follow me on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And to like, and especially, I'm begging you here folks, subscribe. And don't forget to click the bell so that you're notified whenever I release a video. This is the BlueMarbleRider, out.